when you make a commitment, that's a promise to a team. And that's why I think the team has been successful is the commitment you have. Now we're going to get our seniors up here in a second. I want them to stand and say a few words, but I want to say a few things about them too. Ted brought up a point here. He's a junior, and Ted says, you know, I've never not won a district championship. He's been playing football for 3 years. We won a district championship. Are you next speaker? Oh, no. Just get in line right over here. Get in line right over here. He said, I've never not won a district championship. That's quite an accomplishment to win 3 district championships in a row. And our seniors were part of that. They've been here for 4 years, and they got the chance to win 3 of them. And the year before that, I think that was the year that we really turned things around and started going uphill all the time. I think the other thing that is great about our seniors is a lot of the records that are up on that board, those guys helped create. Some of them, they get credit for them. But some of those, they don't get credit for. But they did it as a team, and some individual got that. I'm not real big on individual honors. I've never been that way. You guys, how many times do you see the stats during the season? I never show them to you because I don't care. I do put, the only time they see them is when they see them in the Husker Match prep. But it's not a big deal because it doesn't matter until the season's over and then you get to look at those things, and I'm going to send home a piece of paper and you can look at it the rest of your life. But, you know, the important thing is to know that you made a commitment to your teammates, they made one to you, and good things happen. That's what you got to learn to go in life, too. Those commitments are going to take you someplace. Promises will get you nowhere because promises are made to yourself. Commitments are made to other people. The commitment you made is why you got where you were. I'm looking at our seniors, and like I said, there were some great things happened, but more than that, I think back to the first year we went to the passing camp. Was that you guys' freshman year, or is that the 8th grade year? This freshman year. The first year we went down to Fremont. These are the group of kids that decided that they wanted to do that. We were going to do it the year before and just didn't get enough commitment to do it. And I said, hey, we either going to do this or we're not. He says, you know, the best thing about that was we get to play against bigger schools. We get to do something we don't normally do, and that's pass the ball. You know, some of those things, but I said the defense is the best part of it. And I think it really made a difference in the attitude of the kids. I don't know if we've ever really, anybody's ever got the best of us down there. I think we won that. I think the first year we might have, you know, had a couple teams beat us. We've won it the last 3 years just because of the kids, their effort, their desire to do that. So that's why you're successful. Remember that. You get out of here, make a commitment. You make a commitment, you'll be successful. You make a promise, you'll break it. I promise you that. Okay? We'll just start here, and we'll start with MJ Baca. I won't stand up, and I'm going to let him say something too when I'm done here. But, you know, I'm just looking at records, and I'm going to miss some of this stuff. All of them, they're great. He did a great thing. He rushed for 1,400 some yards last year. That's unbelievable. I think Nate rushed for 1,200 something. I think we had like 2,700 yards between 2 guys. That is unbelievable. That's great. But the thing I think the most is about MJ is that he was the kind of guy that was willing to play wherever we needed him. You know, he could have played tailback before, but we needed him at fullback. He could have played tailback this year. But how hard was it to block when you were a sophomore, MJ? Yeah, it's really hard. It's hard to play that position and try to find a linebacker. And he struggled that first few games that sophomore year. But he stuck with it, and it made a big difference in it. I think the other thing that stands out here is, I got to look at this number, but MJ in his career rushed for, who's messing with my paper here? Is that you? Thank you. Somewhere he rushed for 3,258 yards in his career. That's pretty good. You know, and I'm not going to give him all the credit, but you know what? There's a lot of bruises. He probably got to show for those yards he got, but more than that, I can think back to the year he decided that the weight room was something he needed to do. He always wanted to go cut trees down. He decided that he was going to lift and cut the trees down, and man, what a great job he's done since then, so I appreciate that. You guys think say your teammate? Come on, you can show you think of something.
Yeah, we'll talk about 20 years. It's better than last year. My last year was probably
You know, Rich, we're just talking, Rich says, I didn't tell you records. What did you tell me your record was? Bench warmer, he said, was his record. You know, but I look at Rich and I think the same thing. You know, here's a kid that stuck it out and found a time where we needed somebody, and he filled the bill this year. He stepped in, did a great job at tight end for us. You know, Rich, by the way, MJ did make all district and stuff, but so did Rich. And Rich says, how did I get on there? Defensive back, because I couldn't cover anybody. And I said, Rich, you know, there's more to football than covering somebody. I said, I think people remember he's a hard hitter. That's what our kids always said, too, about Rich is, well, whenever the tackle we made, he would come up and hit that guy. And I appreciate that about him, too. But more than that is, Rich has gone through some tough things in his life, and he hasn't let those get him down. He's here at school. He's made a commitment to that, and we appreciate that, too. I think Rich is going to be the kind of kid that has gone through all these things. He's just made him stronger. He's going to be successful in anything he does, and I appreciate what Rich has done, too. Rich is amazing. You know, we were talking about records too, and I got to looking at Casey's, and you know, I think, again, records don't mean a lot. He does have a record, I think, for most touchdown passes, and he's done it 3 times, had two touchdown passes in a game. But the thing I think about the most is Casey's contribution last year when he broke his hand and he didn't get to play tight end. I really think that, you know, he would have been the type of guy that broke a lot of records just because he's been playing at that position, but he played where we needed him, and he did that again this year. You know, we could have left him at tight end, throwing the ball to him a lot, got a lot of yards and all those things, but the important thing was Casey's the kind of guy that says, whatever you need, coach, that's what I'll do. You know, there's times everybody wants to be where the ball is, where the strength is on defense. He's one of those kids, I said, you know, I need you over here this week, this is where you need to play, no complaint. And that's another way, that's another kid that's going to be successful because he does what it takes, does what's needed of him, and we appreciate that too. You know, I said at the beginning of the year, we're going to get the ball to Casey, and somebody, I always told him, I said, if we throw the ball in the air, I expect you to catch it every time. Don't let anybody out jump it. And I think in the Burger game, that happened 3 times. That's got a couple touchdowns and an extra point. And, you know, that's the type of effort you need out of every kid, and we appreciate what Casey's done for us too. Jesse, he set one record. He set a tied Brady Vaca's record of 26 tackles in a game. He missed, I don't think I told him that yet, but Russell Stockamp had 167 tackles in the season, and Jesse had 166.
Oh.
And you know,
So watch the film again.
yeah, I may have to do that because Ethan brought that up. He said, hey, you gave it to me. I said, no, I didn't. I said, I went back and checked the film, and it was the right yardage. So I may have to go back through every game film and check those. But, you know, he missed, that's a heck of an effort to get 166 tackles in a year. I mean, that's, in 9 games, that's pretty amazing. So, pretty good record, but he did get to tie another, you know, Brady. I didn't get to coach Brady, but I saw him play, and this guy was as good a defensive player I've ever seen, and a tackler, and to be able to tie that is quite an effort too. So we appreciate that. I think the best thing about Jesse, though, was when we took him down to 7-on-7 league, and I told him I wanted him to play linebacker this summer. Oh my gosh, he looked at me like, what are you doing putting me here? I'm used to being down and rushing, and I wanted him to stand up. And I remember the first time he snapped the ball, he was just standing there like, who am I supposed to even look at? There's all these people, and I know he didn't believe me, but I was right. You were in the right position this year. And I think, you know, when I set up this year to find linebackers, I thought, you know, you got to take the middle linebacker and make the guy that wants to get to the ball the fastest and get there in a bad move. And I thought Jesse would be the guy to do that, and he did a great job. So we appreciate that too. Jesse, and I don't know how big his feet will have. He said he just got up. He took a little nap, and he just woke up before he got there. set a couple records last year passing. You know, I think Ethan, we talked about it here. I know a couple times he started looking at stats like, gosh, I'm not getting the yards or the things that we did last year. But it makes a big difference in last year our wideouts were 2 seniors. This year our wideouts were freshmen. A big difference. And it makes a big difference, but he did a great job, and I think he realized too that I don't care how good you throw the ball, you got to have somebody that blocks for you. You got to have somebody that can run a good route, that knows when to stop when they're open, when to keep running, to get open, those types of things. But I think the thing that I appreciate the most is if Ethan did something wrong, I'd tell him, and he would respond. I think he's always done that, and I appreciate that. That's hard to do when you're the quarterback, because I was told, I remember Scott Becker's a senior. I told Scott, I said, Scott, if I yell at you on the football field, I'm talking to the team. If I want to talk to you, I'll yell at you by yourself. And he always knew that, you know, and I think that's the way Ethan took things too. You know, I'm going to get after him, and I was talking to the whole team, handled it real well, and I appreciate that.
Well, I just want to thank all you other guys for stepping up. If it wasn't for you, we would never succeed. I just want to thank you guys for something.
Jeremy, our exchange student from Brazil, our kicker, did a great job. I remember last year when we had Mario came here, and I told him to go up. He understood everything I said. I think Jeremy, he wasn't sure about this game and what was going on, but it's amazing how they just pick up the fact that you just take the ball and you kick it, and, you know, I think we probably struggled a little bit the year because he didn't understand exactly what to do, but man, he did a great job. And we appreciate that. I hope you had fun doing this. I know your teammates had a lot of fun playing with you. You want to say anything?
Thanks, you guys made college play football. I have a great team.
Kevin DeBuda. I say Kevin for last because this is kind of special. Kevin played when you were a freshman and sophomore. With that, and part of the sophomore year. Didn't play last year. And I remember last year, Kevin told me, I wished I wouldn't have quit. I said, well, you know, you got another year next year. And I didn't say too much. For a while there, I was asking him all the time. I said, you know, you need to wrestle. You need to get out to football. It's the best thing for you. You'll love that your senior year. And I don't think he believed me then. But he told me numerous times this year, he's glad he came back out to football. Did a great job for us. You know, Kevin was in a position where you're not going to get a lot of stats because when you're a defensive lineman, we work it so that you get double teamed, and if you're getting double teamed, then they can't block a linebacker. And so we try to line them up with that in mind. And we changed a lot of times during the inside technique and outside, and Kevin got double teamed a lot. You go back and look on film, and he's getting double teamed. To me, that's a big stat. We never keep that, but I should go back and look and see how many times the kid got double teamed. And that's a big stat, but it's a great thing Kevin did. I think there's a couple games where he really made a big difference where you could see. I think every game he made a big difference that maybe other people didn't see, but we as his teammates, his coaches knew what he did, and we appreciate that. Kevin, you got anything to say? Okay, coaches. Coach McDuffie, you gonna say anything? Geez, did I have to tell you? You might have to talk.
I was having a lot of fun. Interesting to teach these young guys how to block on the front line. Didn't know what a dip was. Trying to tell, except for themselves. It's been fun. They learned a lot this year. Every game, we saw something new that they did, or did something right that they didn't do in
Coach Burnell's over there.
Oh, no, I meant the other guy.
He was talking about hard hitting. Alright, well, last year, we were really on a hard hitting team. This year, we got far. When he stepped on the field, after he stepped off, basically got hit. I guess that's on the river, and those left checks get far. Always did, always did.
I appreciate having Nate around this year. He did a good job. I mean, he's pretty soft-spoken, but I think, you know, he was able to see some things, talk to kids in his manner. I think, you know, as he goes on in coaching, he's going to change the way he does things, but I think he's going to be a good coach. I'm glad he's helping us out, and I hope he's around to help us next year unless he's playing himself, but I'd sure like to have him here today. I appreciate it. He makes a good coach. You know, just thinking about next year, I was looking at the district team. When we voted for all district, we get so many spots because of winning the district championship. So it's a big deal. I mean, it gives our kids more recognition. And we get so many spots. And so what I do is I nominate as many players I want to nominate. I nominated 18 kids. Nominated 18. And they chose 13 of them. 8 of them made first team, and had 5 kids. Actually, we had Casey made both offense and defensive all district. So that's, you know, that's a place that he maybe took away from other kids, but I'm not going to argue with anybody. You vote them, and I always tell them, you tell me, these are the kids I think are worthy of that, you choose them. We had a freshman make honorable mention. You know, Joey made honorable mention, and I think, you know, Joey made honorable mention. I think Derek made honorable mention. You made honorable mention. Taylor made honorable mention, and Paul made honorable mention, and who? And Kevin the Buddha. Those were our 5 honorable mention players. I mean, that's awesome that we had that young kid. But you know what? All that means to me is now you've got more expectations of you because of what you did so early. There's a lot of kids that go till they're a senior, Kevin, that got his due this year. We got Joey getting his first year. That's a big burden to bear. You're going to have to go do something with that. And I think that goes for all of us. You know, every year, this was the sickest feeling when we walked off the field against Hartland to not be playing again. And I think probably because I don't think there was one kid that suited up that didn't think we'd win. I think they all thought we'd win. I don't know if there was a coach that didn't think that we had a good shot to win that, and we did have a good shot to win that. Didn't go quite like we planned. But every time, and I talked to a few of the players that talked the same way, it's just the sickest feeling. The problem is, some of the kids that felt the sickest are seniors, and they'll never get a chance to, you know, to make that up. But the rest of you have an opportunity to do something about that feeling, and that is we don't want to get beat the first playoff game next year. And just like the group that went 11-1 2 years ago to this group that went 6-3, they started the day after football is over for the next year. Not necessarily in football. Getting out for wrestling, getting out for basketball, being out for track, being here lifting in the summer, going to camp, doing all those things. See, that's all it's all about. And I would love to, and I've said this before, I'd love to just say, school's out, just go. But you know, we can't do that because nobody else is doing that. We got to do that just to keep up with people. It's going to take an extra effort to make it that much better. Remember why we do this. We don't do it just so we can win. We do it because it's a challenge, just like your life is. It's a challenge to say, we are going to be better than people expect us. We're going to be better than we expect of ourselves. We're going to work harder. We're going to do all those things. And we only have 4 juniors. Is that right? We have 5 juniors. Count you. Where's Ryan? Ryan's at work. Maybe we have 5 juniors. Is that right? We have 5 juniors going to be our leaders next year. That's a big responsibility. And if you remain the same next year as you are today, we're in trouble. You have to grow. You got to grow physically, mentally, emotionally, all those things. That's very, very important. And we got to have that from everybody. And the first thing is starting Monday, wrestling and basketball practice start. You need to be there. And you're going to compete and compete and compete and work as hard as you can, because the minute you take a day off, you're going to lose a step. You never want to do that. remember, every day you don't feel like doing something, you just remember how your parents feel. I guarantee you, there's some mornings that they just, that alarm goes off, or they turn over and think, man, wouldn't it be nice if I could just stay here for a little bit longer? Boy, I'd like to go do that. If they did that, you'd be in trouble. And when you do that, it hurts your team. Remember what I said about commitment. Commit yourself to being successful. Because if you do it now, I'm excited for what happens when you leave this place. And we have an opportunity to improve ourselves. And that's what I expect from you guys. We have done a great job in the last few years. We need to continue that. I think we have a good group. I'm excited for this group of kids because I think we have a lot of sophomores and freshmen. They're going to make a big, big impact for us again next year. I'm excited for that. I hope you guys are too. I'd like to thank you guys for all coming and putting all the time in. And the best thing is, and I mean this, when people come to our place, they talk good about our people. They say that, our people are friendly, that our people don't get, yeah, they scream and yell, and they might say something, but they don't go overboard. And I appreciate that. And when people say that about us, I still think what the Plainview people said last year, they were so glad that we just treated them with respect. But the best thing is, they said, we got good kids. If we have good kids, we must have good parents. Because if it's magic, and I need some, because we've got a few people who can use a little magic. So anyway, but we appreciate everything you guys do too, and I'm looking forward to next year. Okay? These guys want to hurry up and get home. They said Grey's Anatomy's on. Is that for the chicks or what?
Fred?
Yeah.
We've gone through and talked about all the great things that kids have done, but in talking to a lot of parents and people around town, after last season, the thing I heard the most of was, man, are we going to suck next year? And a lot of it is the kids' commitment and effort they put in, but you did a hell of a job coaching them, and Justin and Nate, as parents, we really appreciate the job you guys did this year for us, because we didn't know what to expect either, and they went a lot further than anybody would ever get.
Well, thank you. That helps when you got good kids. I'm telling you, it makes a big difference. Thank you. Appreciate it.